Credo Voices, the podcast where we bring you inspiring stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I'm your host, Selen Okay Akcali, the CEO of Credo Advisory.
The race toward gender equality is far from over. Around the world, millions of women continue to face deep-rooted barriers. In Turkey, the numbers tell a troubling story. More than 1.4 million women have reported being subjected to domestic violence between January 2013 and July 2024, according to data from the country's Family and Social Services Ministry. But the challenges facing women in Turkey go beyond violence. Economic inequality remains a major obstacle. Only about 37% of women are part of the labor force, one of the lowest rates in the G20. The gap between men and women is even wider among those with less education or among married individuals. And many women who do work are in informal jobs, where access to protections like healthcare, paid leave, and job security is limited. In this episode of Credo Voices, we speak with Selen Okay Akcali, the chair of Yanındayız, an NGO dedicated to engaging men as allies in the fight for gender equality. Selen discusses her journey into gender advocacy and the innovative he-for-she approach that her organization employs. Join us as Selen shares her method of shifting cultural norms and the vital importance of allyship in creating a more equitable society.
Hello, everybody. This is Selen Okay Akcali from Credo Voices.
Hello, everyone. I'm Selen. I'm from Turkey.
Thank you, Selen. Selen, you are doing some incredible work. Can you tell us a little bit about your organization? Apologies for not pronouncing it the right way, but Yanındayız. Can you tell us, first of all, what does it mean and what are you doing with this organization?
Thank you, Avali, for having me today. In Yanındayız, which means in Turkish, we stand by you, actually. So we are working for gender equality and women's rights. After working for many women empowerment organizations, I realized that true change could only come from if we engage men as allies in the fight for gender equality. So that's what we do in Yanındayız. So we are working for feminism with men allies, actually, in Yanındayız.
Thank you, Selen. And can you tell me, you started this in 2018, and Yanındayız is, focusing on ending violence against women and children, enhancing women's participation in the workforce, promoting equity in household responsibilities. You're doing a lot around really trying to uphold and empower women. And I love that this focus is around men. How did you get on this journey?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, my journey into gender advocacy wasn't a single moment, but rather a culmination of experiences, actually.
Okay.
So, growing up, I witnessed firsthand how gender roles were deeply embedded in our society. But I guess the real turning point to me was it came when I started working in private sector. I studied industrial engineering, and I personally realized that as a woman, it's not easy to get a higher education in this field, nor is it easy to do your job after graduation as well. So I have experienced the difficulty of being a woman at almost every level in working life.
Yes.
So I decided to become a civil society activist, actually, after that.
Oh, wow.
So, I guess you know as well, the protective sexism, the boys club, the fact that as a woman you have to put in more efforts.
Yes.
Sometimes the lack of solidarity, the
Yes.
solidarity you don't see from other female friends, Queen Bee syndrome. So
Yes. Oh,
these were the concepts that I questioned, actually.
yeah. So, Selen, I think it's so interesting. So there's a lot of advocacy around gender, women really coming together to support themselves. And of course, you do have, as you call it, the queen bee mentality. You do have those, kind of the lack of cohesion in some of these areas. But I love that you've identified that there isn't enough of the male allyship. You don't have enough of that, and the men are often kind of not incorporated and not seen as partners. And really, it's the men that actually create the situation. So you can't solve a problem without incorporating and partnering with, the stakeholders who are kind of part of the problem to begin with. So I love that you've identified that, and this is really at the heart of what you're trying to do.
Yes.
So no, go ahead. Please go ahead.
So as you emphasized, Vele, the many gender equality movements focus primarily on empowering women, and one of them is Vital Voices, as we know, and that's very critical. But in Yanındayız, we saw that without changing the attitudes of men, systemic transformation would be very slow. So we call Yanındayız as a he for she approach, and actively involving male leaders, the business executives and influencers to challenge the gender norms, actually. And they are using their own spheres of influence.
Yes. So I love that you mentioned the he for she approach. It's so important. Now, can you tell me specifically, walk me through Yanındayız. Tell me, what are some of the initiatives and work that's really being done at the grassroots to drive the he for she approach?
Yeah, sure. Yanındayız is a grassroots organization which is founded in Turkey, and we are as far as we know, the fourth organization or fifth organization in the world, because proof feminism movement just started 30 years ago in world as well. So we have some inspirational organizations like Equimundo, Promundo, and an organization called White Ribbon. And Yanındayız is one of them, actually.
Yes,
And
wow.
we
Yes.
established Yanındayız 7 years ago in Turkey, in Istanbul, with 40 men. So it's very avant-garde for our country as
That's
well.
incredible. So when you say 40 men, as in the 40 men that are signed on as kind of champions, or 40 men within your organization?
Yes, actually, from business network or actors, writers, academicians,
Wow.
politicians, and every kind of disciplines, these men are taking an initiative, actually, and they are using their influence for women's rights.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's the common purpose of them.
So walk me through how you go about getting these male allies. So how did you pick them? What are some of the challenges in engaging with them? I'd imagine that not everyone agrees. It's not often, and also just from my own experience, there is a backlash around the gender. There is also a backlash around this perceived notion of feminism. How do you get the men to actually join you and agree to use their platform?
You're absolutely right. There's a backlash, and I think one of the biggest hurdles has been overcoming deeply ingrained cultural norms, actually. They resist change, so many men feel uncomfortable confronting their own privilege, or acknowledging the role they play in sustaining inequality. So I think another challenge is this backlash, this pushback from conservative circles, which often perceive gender equality as a threat to traditional values. So it's not easy to engage them, actually.
I can imagine. Yeah.
But we have strong allies as well. So we invite these members to our association, actually. Yes, we are funded with 40 men, but now we are above 170.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
We are a big circle, and also we are working with men and women together. So that's the important thing, I guess. 80% of our members are men, and 20% is women. So men are doing this advocacy and these activities not themselves, but hand to hand with women actually.
Thank you for sharing that. And if it's and the fact that you have that collaboration between your male members and women, I think that's what also makes it sustainable. And I think gender advocacy is not something that only women should promote. It is a collaboration. And if you have both men and women, boys and girls working together, I think that's really how you now address those societal norms and the cultural norms that kind of continue to foster, the inequalities and the oppression of women. So it's really good to see this happening in Turkey. And, Turkey is by no means the only country. This is across, everywhere we see it. I'm from Nigeria, and it's prevalent, but it's also important that some of this work is being done by people like you. Now, you talked about you have about over 100 male allies working. How do you select them? What's the process? Is there a specific type? You talked about celebrities, people in the grassroots. How do you select your partners? What's the process? What are you looking for?
Actually, we have a board and we have a committee who assess our members actually, who will be the members to be, because I think the most important thing is the intention and their will to do that at first point. And as you emphasized, it's very important. Their influential area is very important. For example, when we are talking as a corporate member, we want the top executive of this corporation and male executive of this corporation to be a member of us. So
Yes.
if the CEO or the chair of this organization is a member, then the
Yes.
corporation, the company also changed very rapidly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you have these influencers, these male influencers, be it in corporate, be it even in different areas, is there a particular type? What are the demographics? Are you looking for younger men? Are you looking for men who are really vocal? If you were to paint or describe the male champion for Yanındayız, how would you describe him?
Actually, we care about our society to be diverse.
Okay.
Because we are also advocating for diversity and inclusion. So we care about, taking, as you told, young men, young entrepreneurs, for example, or experienced men, or from different sectors, actually, or from different geographies. So it's very important to be together, and also from different political views as well. It's very important, I guess.
Changing gender norms is essential for transforming how women are treated in society, and that change can't happen without men. Yet many struggle to confront their own privilege or recognize the role they play in sustaining inequality. Through Yanındayız, Selen tackles this head-on by creating safe spaces, promoting honest dialogue, and engaging male leaders as allies. Her organization works to shift attitudes, challenge cultural norms, and spark systemic, lasting change.
So, Selen, you talk about having these male partners and from different sectors and different areas in society. And I'm interested to know, what partnerships have you been able to get with politicians and in public sector? Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure, Aurelia. We work with different disciplines, as I mentioned before. For example, we work local governments, and we do various projects with them. For example, with the Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality, we conducted workshops with municipal bus drivers to raise
Oh,
awareness on
really?
violence against women. Yeah, and don't give a place or road to violence. That was the name of the project. Or I can give you an example from from a foundation who supports us, the Frederick Nolan Foundation. Thanks to them, we reached textile factories in 7 regions of Turkey, and with Swedish consulate, we reached workers in male-dominated sectors.
Yes.
We all organized some workshops and trainings with them. The idea is to talk to men with the help of men as well. Our trainers are mostly men. For example, one of our last project is with German consulate in Istanbul. We worked with university students.
So did you say you said the German consulate?
Yeah,
in
German
Istanbul?
consulate. Yeah.
Excellent.
And,
Okay.
they supported our project and we worked with them. And with university students, we worked on dating violence. So for every different cluster, we go with a different project.
Yes.
And so we can reach to different people and men and women actually.
So this is fascinating because I love that you're going to different sectors. You talked about the bus drivers and holding workshops. You talked about the textile industry. So you're really going down to the grassroots and working with men by also men trainers. Now, what are some of the challenges? It can't be easy. How do you change, shift mindsets in these very steeped cultural settings? Can you just share what some of the challenges are?
Yeah, there are so many challenges. The first one is, I think, they resist sometimes. They don't want to participate these classes because they feel uncomfortable
Yeah.
and they don't want to confront this thing. And
Yes.
they think that gender equality is not an issue for us, for men, and we are not the guilty ones, right? Like that. I think the biggest hurdle is that, and
Yes.
they have very conservative biases as well, and we use education but not only the education system, I guess. We also use dialogue. This is our primary tool. We create safe spaces where men can openly discuss their fears, their biases, their concerns. We prioritize them. We tell them we also take care. We want to take care about men, and we don't want them to feel guilty or uncomfortable.
Right.
So we employ storytelling using real life examples to illustrate the tangible benefits of gender
Oh,
equality.
Elen, you stole my heart when you said storytelling because I am all about using stories for impact. So I think it's wonderful that you're using this really important tool. But please continue.
Yeah, because gender equality is not just for women, but for society as a whole.
Exactly.
So when they understand it, they can be very strong allies to us, actually.
So I'm also thinking, so you have, you're able to get men in workshops and you have, trainers, male trainers who are helping to, drive some of the messaging and really try and educate. How do you measure your success? So you may have, you could have a lot of these workshops happening across Turkey, but how do you measure the impact of your work?
Yeah, actually measuring success and change in societal attitude is very complex, but we use a mix of qualitative and quantitative methods.
Okay.
For example, we track engagement metrics.
Okay.
How many men participate in our workshops? It's a very important metric to us
Yes.
and
Yeah.
to our events and campaigns. And also, we track the behavioral changes. We assess how participants shift their attitudes towards workplace policies, family roles, or leadership decisions. We apply some pre and post surveys after, when we are doing these workshops, and we see the development actually. So also we track whether the companies and institutions implement gender equal policies after collaborating with us. So that's the third point, I think, the policy impact. Tracking the policy impact is very important.
So you're also speaking my language when you talk about feedback and just really measuring, having baseline data to guide, to set that benchmark. And then, you are now measuring against it to track that progress. And I really want us to talk about the policy because that will really be a huge indicator. You can have all of this, all of this work that's done in the grassroots, but if you don't have the policy to really institutionalize, you know, these issues, it's a lot harder to shift. And you see it happening in different countries, right? So can you talk a little bit more? I'm not familiar with Turkey's gender policies, but can you share a little bit about maybe some of the improvements that can still be made and how your work could actually support that?
Yeah, sure. It can be a long struggle to achieve legal changes in our country and in most countries as well. For this reason, as Yanındayız, we focus on supporting and following organizations formed by experienced organizations, actually, and legal experts, rather than acting and advocating on our own.
Okay.
It's very important. So,
Yeah.
our advocacy work has contributed to several institutional changes in Turkey. For example, there's a very powerful example in the past. In 1992, in Turkey, the woman have to have a permission from her husband to work. Her husband should sign for her that, yeah, my wife can work in this institution. But now, yeah, it's after 1992, it's not like that. So it's a big gain for us.
Right.
So these things can happen by advocating and being together and fighting together.
Yes.
So the other major success to me is encouraging Turkish companies to adopt gender equal recruitment policies and implement these harassment prevention protocols to their companies. It's also very important.
And Selen, just not to interrupt you, but the private sector partnership is so key. As you are, and this is so, and this is what we do also in my work, is really trying to leverage all the different partners and stakeholders. So working with these private organizations and having them drive a lot of the gender, the pro-gender policies, recruitment, which you just mentioned, I think is really important. But one thing that also I'd like to find out about is when we do, for instance, when I do a lot of this work in different countries, while you have the private sector, you have the, advocacy with policymakers, the cultural religious component is also quite critical. Can you speak a little bit about that? Do you have religious advocates or, religious or, traditional figures who are also part of this movement?
Emily, actually, that is my dream. So yeah, that's a dream to me because when we start, I just explained you the jobs of our members. Where are they? What are they working for? But yet we still do not have a religious person as a member in our organization.
It's tough. It's
Ah,
very difficult. It's very difficult. And
yeah,
this is not a Turkey problem. It's everywhere.
yeah, because traditions are, people see the traditions and religion as a contradiction to gender equality, but it isn't actually. So
Yes.
we should be together, and I think we are advocating for the same themes sometimes. But yeah, that's my dream. Hopefully, at the time we can do it, and I will let you know.
Oh, please do. Absolutely, please do. I mean, but your work is really fascinating. It's important work. And I like to believe that, it just starts with one person, driving this, and then you're able to have like a coalition of partners, of champions, and you now get that critical mass that helps you get the imams or the priests or the, whomever. That's how you're able to now engage and drive change. So for sure, I can't imagine, there will be all these obstacles. But it starts with what you're already doing, talking to the bus drivers, talking to the textile workers, talking to the corporate, influencers. So kudos to you. Kudos to your incredible team. We can talk. I could ask. I have so many questions. But I think if you can leave us with just where do you see your organization in 5 years? Where would you want this work to be in about 5 years?
Yeah, that's a nice question actually. Thank you. Yeah, as Yanındayız, we are founded to sustain a more diverse and inclusive culture actually, because if we sustain it, then we can achieve the human rights. So when we achieve human rights, actually we will start to talk human rights, not only the human.
Yes.
So yeah, we would like to see more men allies for working for this issue actually in near future, and also to me, in Turkey, I don't know the situation in Nigeria, but young people, youngsters, are not involved in civil society as well. So they prefer mostly private sector. So my dream is also in 5 years, if we can engage children and young people to these communities, NGOs like Yanındayız,
Yes.
the development and our tribe will be faster, I guess. So
Yes.
that's the aim.
Oh, and I hope, and I see you doing the work, and I really hope you're able to, to achieve this. And I just wanted to say, you really touched on something that's really important. I'd like to highlight about young people. The work I do in Africa, we're a young continent. Nigeria in particular, we're very young. So it's important you're able to engage young boys, young men, because if you're not able to counter the toxic masculinity, the bro culture, if you're not able to do it when they're young, that's when it continues to kind of permeate and now becomes a societal cultural norm. So I think it's so important, these points that you've raised. Thank you for all that you are doing. We will check back in with you to see hopefully where you are on that road, your journey. And I wish you all the best.
So I really thank you for having me, and thank you for this inspirational chat. And I'm very eager and excited to let you know about the changes in Turkey and developments about Yanındayız in near future.
Turkish women continue to face persistent threats, violence, and discrimination, rooted in deeply ingrained societal and cultural norms that uphold gender inequality. Despite legal advances, many women remain vulnerable to femicide, domestic violence, and societal stigma. Yanındayız works diligently to combat this urgent crisis by actively engaging men as allies through community outreach, educational programs, advocacy campaigns, and efforts to influence policy reforms. By mobilizing men to challenge harmful attitudes and stereotypes, their initiatives promote societal shifts toward equality and respect. Their work directly contributes to SDGs, such as SDG 5 on gender equality and SDG 16 on peace, justice, and strong institutions. Supporting their efforts helps accelerate cultural change, protect vulnerable women, and foster safer, more inclusive communities.
Thank you for listening. Until next time, stay curious and keep believing in the power of your voice. This is Selen Okay Akcali signing off for Credo Voices.